from a very, very hot Aberdeen. It's like out here, everybody's on the beach. It's the 4th of September, and the poor kids are, of course, they're still stuck in school. Although the schools are just finished here, um, and I can see there's lots of children arriving on the beach. I've just been for a walk. It's absolutely stunning. Unbelievable weather for this part of the world. Definitely, if anybody's, I know Wendy's been to Aberdeen, but it's not a place that's renowned for its sun, to say the least. But I have to say, we've been here a few times now, and the sun always seems to shine when we're here. So feeling very grateful. It's up in the 20s today. It's absolutely beautiful. So welcome. Oh, bless you, Wendy. Thank you so much for asking about my daughter. She is rocking it, I have to tell you. She's even the day after, she was in so much of a better place. She's just doing amazingly well. Like, nothing to worry about there. She was going to move in with him um, a week on Monday, a week, 2 week, no, a week today actually. Yeah, that's what we're taking her back. And she's sorted out. She's managed to get her dad and her grandparents to help with paying the rent, so she doesn't actually have to worry about finding somebody else to share the house with her. Do you know what? I think the main thing was when she was going through it that I kept inviting her, not telling her, but just encouraging her to stay in the present moment, to just deal with what was happening right there and then, because while it was all going on, so much of her future was tied up with him that she was just way off into the future. And she fortunately she went on a friend's hen do on Saturday night. She went away she's back in Leeds now with her dad. But she went to this hen do on Saturday night. She looked absolutely gorgeous. She had an absolutely brilliant time, and it was probably the best thing that could have happened. Isn't the universe amazing how it looks after us and gives us what we need? Um, so she had an amazing time. And when I spoke to her yesterday, I just said, Sophie, you know you can do better than him. He's too young for you. He's shown his level of maturity through this. And she said, absolutely, Mum, you're right. I'm gonna be better off without him. And I thought, bloody hell, that's a turnaround from whenever it was. Was it Wednesday when it all it's Thursday, wasn't it? From Thursday to Monday, she's just and I can hear that she's still going to have these wells of emotion, but it's like she's seeing that she's okay. And I hope some of that is, I mean, it's always what she's got inside her. But I think being around me as I've learned this and picking up little bits, so I've not pushed it onto her, but I've just occasionally said things about the inside out understanding, and where everything's come from, but also encouraged her to kind of trust herself and her own wisdom. And she's probably handling it a lot better than I've ever handled anything like that in my life. I don't know what is going on. I'm not handling my hair very well right now. It's just too hot to have hair today. Those days, ladies, when you wish you could just kind of take it off during the day and then pop it back on later, because it's all very sticky. I'm very sticky today. So thank you for asking, Wendy. Amazingly, just stunned by how amazing well she's doing. So that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about what is a feeling. In this series of sessions now that I'm calling Sustainable Calm. It's even can be calm apparently while massive lorries are going past. I hope the sound in the background isn't too much. We've got a road at this side, which is, it's not a really busy road, but it seems to be a route for lorries to take, because there's quite a lot of industrial fishing and commercial fishing and gas and oil stuff around here. But we also have the sea. We'll just share the view, because I love to share the view. I think I should always share my view. Where's the sea gone? So don't quite get the window right in the. There we go. You can see it's just sea now, really, because the sea is on its way in. There was some beach there before, but it's disappearing because the tide's coming in. So yeah, sunny Aberdeen today in my motorhome. So a little bit about me. Well, first of all, hello to you. I haven't properly said hello yet, have I? Because I've been very gratefully talking about what's been going on at home. Thank you, Wendy, for checking in. That's something that's so lovely about this space, is that it's just it's so supportive, and I do feel, this is a place where I can just, hang out with you lovely people, and we can share our wisdom and share what we're seeing. And what will happen in this session is that I'll do a little bit of a chat, and then we will share our own insights. We'll share, I want you to share your insights. I want you to hop in and join in. Tell me what you're seeing about this particular subject, or anything else you've seen around the three principles. So hello everybody, I'm live today from Aberdeen. Aberdeen, apparently you're supposed to say it like that, in the northeast of Scotland, right on the coast. I understand that Denmark is just across there, quite a way across there actually, I think. And I normally live in Leeds, which is in Yorkshire in the north of England. So let me know, say hello. Wendy said hello, DM said hello. I'd love to hear from you if you are a regular on these sessions, if you're new, if this is all new to you. I'm bumping into a few people on here who have started an exploration of the three principles, which is great. I teach this thing called the three principles, or the inside out understanding, which is a psycho-spiritual conversation, really, is the best way to talk about it, that really helps us to see and relate to differently our experience. And when I say experience, I mean your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviour, how you see the world, how you connect to it. But most of all, for most of us, I think it's how we see ourselves. And this conversation, I'm always going to be pointing you to how amazing you already are. That everything you need, everything you think you can find out there in a tool, in a technique, in a strategy, perhaps a lengthy and poking conversation in the past, that actually all of everything you need is here already. And it doesn't really matter what labels you've got, what things you think are you. Labeling has become part of our world now, hasn't it? I've got a lovely new client recently start with me, and he's considering looking at kind of autism labels and things like that, and I think they can be powerful if they're used for us to bring awareness to things. And that's really what we're here to do, is to raise our awareness, because it doesn't really matter what's coming up for us, it's how we relate to that makes the difference. So if we believe every single thought that goes through our heads, we will respond in life or react in life from that place of believing that thinking. If we don't, then we won't. If we see our feelings one way, we behave one way. If we see them another way, we behave another way. It's really that simple. I don't think any of it is solvable at the behaviour end, and we don't really, we talk about where behaviour comes from, but we're not about changing behaviour here at all. So this inside out conversation is what we're talking about. We're talking about sustainable calm, which, as the queen of calm, as I'm known, you might think that's about in being calm all the time, but it's about realizing that calm is always available to us, and that it underpins everything of who we are, really. And it's a lot more simple to be in that place of calm than we might have been led to believe. It looks like it's a lot to do, doesn't it? And I'm all about the well-being, not the well-doing. So say hi. I can see a few familiar faces down the bottom. I think I can see Nancy. I think I can see Jeff. Who else? I can see lots of heads bobbing up and down at the bottom. Obviously Wendy's here. DM's here. So see, hi. Hello, Nancy. Lovely to see you. Oh, I love that you're calling us sweet souls. That's so beautiful. I think that is something that can be said for an awful lot of people on Inside Timer. Hello, Carol. Lovely to see you. And if you're new here, do let me know that you're new, because this is it's a paradigm shift. Although I suspect that an awful lot of people on Inside Timer have already had an inkling of this as you've gone on your journey. So a lot of people I help are those, seekers. Hello, Maesha, lovely to see you. So let me know if you're a seeker, if you've been looking for a while, or maybe a really long time, for something that's going to make you feel okay. Like I was for a long time, like searching for something to make myself feel okay. And yeah, it led me on all sorts of different paths, none of which really did it. Some temporary relief was found, but nothing really changed anything. And that's because I was looking in the wrong direction, and that's not where we're going to be looking here. We're not going to be looking outside, we're going to be looking to see what's inside. And today we're going to explore what's the feeling. And we're going to explore it in lots of different ways, but that will kind of emerge as I speak. But feelings, I think, yeah, let's get cracking. Let's get going. And I say hi to anybody else who's just come in. Please do say hello. Let me know. Let me know where in the world you are, because it's always lovely to know where people are in the world. I know Wendy's in Turkey and Nancy's in San Diego. But let me know where in the world you are, and do let me know if you're new or if you're a repeat offender. If you're a regular here, I do have quite a lot of regular people. So let's talk about feelings. Oh, where to begin? Let's start with hello, Carol. Oh, you're in Florida, Carol. Lovely. I suspect you have lovely blue skies like this all the time. And Kate from Seattle. Hello, Kate. Lovely to see you. So let's talk about feelings. So I want to talk first of all about what feelings have become in society, in the world, in generally speaking. I think there's just a lot of talk about feelings, isn't there? And what they mean, and what society says about them, and what it means about you if you have certain ones. So let's start right from when we're really little. So when we're really little, when if you spent any time with anybody who's about 18 months to 3 years-ish, you will have seen a being, a tiny being, that can flow through a whole range of different feelings in an average hour without any need to control them. Without any need to control them at all. Young children do not try to control their feelings. And what you've probably also noticed about those young children is that they flow. There's a natural ability for them to flow in and out of different feelings, in and out, in and out, in and out. For long periods. I remember taking my little ones, for example, to the supermarket, where there's often a challenge, isn't there, at the supermarket, because somebody wants something they can't have, or somebody doesn't behave, or somebody's just struggling with something to do with not wanting to be at the supermarket, which, let's face it, when you're two, who wants to be at a supermarket? And just seeing them go through, like, screaming 1 minute, then laughing, then crying again, and then angry, and then frustrated, and then determined, and then downright bloody minded, and like just going through all of that, going through every bit of that without an ounce of attempts to control it. It doesn't stay like that, does it? But what I would like you to just sit with for a moment is the idea, well, the idea of that still being available to you now. Now, I am not recommending that you go to the supermarket and lie on the floor and start screaming. Just so you know. I mean, if you want to, like, it's fine. Yeah, but perhaps not. Perhaps somebody may cart you off, pop you pop you in a padded van, take you to a little room somewhere. Perhaps not do that. But I want you to see that it's possible for you to experience that. And I had that happen to me on Thursday, when some of you, my regulars here who were there, who with me on Friday, will know that on Thursday my daughter got unceremoniously dumped out of the blue. She was moving in with a boyfriend a week on Monday, so and he's dumped her. He's not ready for a relationship. All the things I've thought of doing to him over the weekend, you don't want to know about them. They're terribly violent. I'm only joking, but I saw on Thursday afternoon, when I just heard the news as I went on to this volunteer coaching thing that I do. And I just, oh, goodness gracious, I saw myself. And it was really cool that one of the participants actually pointed it out to me so I went in and I was crying, and then, because I literally got off the phone to her, and then I was straight into this heartfelt presence room that I go to, and I was crying when I went in, and then at some points I was laughing, and at some points I was like talking really sensibly about it all, and giving my reflections on how the fact I thought he never was good enough for her anyway. But of course you've got to keep your mouth shut when you're a mum, haven't you? And I went through it all just like a toddler, because I didn't care, and because I was kind of in conversation, there was no kind of, I was distracted slightly. My intellect was slightly distracted. So my intellect wasn't going, oh, Claire, got to stop crying now. Oh, no, now you're angry. Oh, no, now you shouldn't be feeling like that. There was I didn't need to control any of it. I didn't need to do anything about it. And the flow of it, like Carol says, it's all just thought. It's just thought. And I was flowing through it. And the thoughts are like the clouds. I mean, I'd love to, I can't talk about clouds in Aberdeen today because we haven't got any. But on a normal day in Aberdeen, you would have the clouds. It's flowing across the sun, and it's seeing that you're the sun. And all of that emotion just kept flowing through, and I was okay. Now, that's so pivotal when it comes to understanding the sensation of emotions in our body, is that it's never the sensation. There is nothing wrong with any sensation. That is just energy. The energy of thought in the moment taking form in your body. That's all it is. It's not the sensation, it's the meaning of the feeling that's the problem. Because what is a feeling? Like, pop it in the comments. What is a feeling? Carol's already actually given the quiz up, hasn't she? It wasn't meant to be a quiz, but Carol's giving you all the answer. Like, a feeling is the energy of thought taking form in the body. So it doesn't but actually key, when Carol says only thought, the most important thing there is it is thought in the moment. Because sometimes what we hear when we hear it's only thoughts, we hear, well, I must change my thinking then, I must have better thinking, and then when I've got better thinking, I'll have a better experience of this whole thing, and I won't have these feelings, and I can get rid of them. And that's not at all where I'm pointing to. That's not the essence of what I'm saying. I'm not saying change thinking and have better feelings. I'm saying that there is something different to be seen about what a feeling is. Yeah, Megan, I like that. It's a vibration, an energy. an energy in the body, a vibration in the body, a thought taking form in the body. It's not anything else. But the thing is, that's not what we see in the moment, is it? If we experience a feeling we don't like, we think we've got to get rid of it. When I talk to clients, I often find that the thing that seems to be the problem is that they're feeling a certain way. And how they see that feeling is perhaps with a label. So I've got a client at the moment and he talks about depression. But he sees it as a thing. Thought in the moment, over and over again, having some kind of low mood thinking. It's the form, it's formless taking form in the body. The formless energy of life taking form in the body in the moment. But because we as human beings have this natural propensity to move back to well-being, like that's our clever system. Our clever system wants to take us back to well-being. So when we have one of those uncomfortable feelings, our mind wakes up and goes, hey, hang on, can't have, ooh, don't want that, that's not nice, doesn't feel nice. How do we get back to calm again? What do we need to do? And so we immediately fall into doing something. We immediately want to do something to make it go away. But nothing can make it go away, because there isn't anything out there that has anything to do with it. And as I'm saying this, I feel like I should be recording it separately as a podcast episode, because there is, like, I've never really seen it quite like that before. If a feeling is inside out, not outside in, then doing anything is never going to resolve a feeling. Doing anything outside, doing anything in the outside world, because, you know, sometimes it looks like that person out there is creating the feeling, or that circumstance is creating the feeling, or if I just was in a different place, or had a different job, or had more money, or had more clients, or whatever, then this feeling would go away. Or it can look like, if this feeling goes away, I'll be okay. So then the control of the feeling comes in. I must control the feeling in order to feel okay. So I'll do something, I'll do some kind of practice, or I'll meditate even, you know. Meditation is a beautiful practice that is, you know, to me is about bringing more awareness to things. And I've just signed up to a Rupert Spira course, not just a little freebie he's doing, and I hear him leading these guided practices, and they're just pointing. He's just pointing over and over again to the essence of who we are. And I can't stay awake. It's one of these like 5-day thing. It's called something about not being enlightened. What's he called it? I don't know if anybody's done it. It's really cool. I'm actually listening to a comedy podcast at the moment. Where are we? Oh, Ending the Search for Enlightenment, guided meditation series. And they're not meditations like I'm used to kind of doing it, but it's he's just pointing. But I can't. I've listened to the first two and fallen asleep, both of them. I'm just not a very good student because he's so slowly spoken. I know some people fall asleep listening to me, which I take as a compliment rather than an insult. But his voice is so, and he leaves such big spaces where you kind of contemplate what he said. And then before you know, the first section on this little, stop looking for enlightenment thing is about an hour long, and I haven't got to the end of it yet. Falling asleep. But that's not a bad thing, actually. Sometimes I need a little bit of extra sleep. So no bad thing that I nod off. So however we are trying to change a feeling is coming from a misunderstanding about what a feeling is. So really, in this session today, we want to see what a feeling is, to the point where we have such a different relationship with a feeling that we go, oh, I don't need to do anything about that. I don't need to try and change it. I don't need to get rid of it. And that doesn't mean we're going to go, oh, yay, I feel anxious. Nobody's, that's not going to happen. We're not going to be celebrating anxiety. Maybe we could be, though. Maybe we could get to the point where we go, wow, look at my anxious gift. Letting me know I've got some really anxious thinking, and letting me know that now is not the time to make a life-changing decision, or decide what I can and can't do, or, leave my relationship, or whatever else, or move countries. I mean, I spoke to a lady a while ago. We only had one conversation, and she'd spoken to another coach who had basically advised her to move countries to try and make herself feel better, because this coach was also trapped in the outside-in paradigm. And I was quite well connected with this coach on LinkedIn. We used to be in what's called a LinkedIn engagement pod, which is where you put your post in a WhatsApp group each morning, and then you all make sure you comment on each other's posts to help boost the algorithm. Blah. I've left. I couldn't do it anymore. It was stealing my soul. I know that's very outside in, but I felt like I was, sacrificing myself to the devil on a daily basis, on the algorithm devil. Anybody else have to play the algorithm game? That's the one with no rules and not even a picture on the box. Anyway, I followed this coach quite, so obviously I had to read posts every day because I had to comment on them, and they were extremely outside in. You need to do this tool, you must have a daily ritual, you've got to have these tools and techniques. And obviously she'd powered through life that way herself, and burnt out twice, interestingly. But this woman I was speaking to was feeling awful, and was being encouraged to move countries, or was considering moving countries. You cannot outrun a feeling. You cannot outmove a feeling. You cannot outmeditate a feeling. You can't out-eat it, out-drink it, because that desire to do that comes from a misunderstanding of what a feeling actually is. You're never going to fix them that way. You're never going to change them that way, because they don't work that way. Don't come from the outside world. So why would the solution be in the outside world? The solution is in the inside. And still, I don't mean let's go into the past and find the root cause. The solution is in the solution. There isn't a solution, but the power is in the seeing. The empowerment that comes to us, the ability to be powered by calm, comes from the seeing. The seeing of what a feeling really is, about what brings about an emotion in your body, about really how it's a sensation that arises from an old habitual reaction to life that we then label up and we say it's something. And I've seen this so much, that how much we can label a feeling that isn't even that feeling. I think I spoke the other day about being in a conversation with a young man once who was really, really concerned. He'd been on a spiritual journey for such a long time, and had tried everything, done all sorts of different retreats, been to India, goodness knows what else, all trying to get rid of anxiety. And this particular day, he was really, really stirred up and really, you know, distressed because I think the more we've been seeking, do you see this too? The more you've been seeking, the more you despair when you experience the feelings you're trying to seek the solution for. The more you've been looking, the more painful it is when you go back to that feeling that you're trying to look for the solution for. Because you say to yourself, but I've tried so hard. I've tried to get rid of this feeling. I've tried everything. I've learned all these tools and all these techniques. I've done all these rituals. I've done hours of meditation and hours of everything and affirmations, and I've gratitude journals to death. And I still don't feel okay. So the despair that comes with that. So this young man was in a place of despair. Why am I still feeling like this? And as the conversation went on, it became apparent that he'd not eaten all day, and it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, I do the session between 3 and 5, so it must have been between 3 and 5. So it came to light that he had not eaten all day, and that in actual fact, this is what had happened. He had experienced a feeling in the pit of his stomach that you and I would interpret as hunger. Hunger was what he had experienced, but his mind said, that's anxiety. Just that, that feeling in the pit of your stomach that for many of us is if I feel anything emotional like fear, anxiety, it's always in my stomach, it's always there. And he felt that, and he thought it was anxiety. And so he took the sensation, he gave it a label. He then tried starting to get rid of it, and of course he was focusing more and more attention and more energy on that feeling. So then real anxious type feelings, sensations started coming up in his body, and it was just this self-feeding cycle. This self-feeding cycle going round and round and round and round. And so all that happened on the call was I sent him to get something to eat. And probably partly because he was distracted because he was making some food. And probably partly because he had something to eat and his body breathed a flipping sigh of relief because it was starving. He felt better. So quickly. Like, can you see how the misunderstanding of feelings is just so... It's such a clever trap. A feeling is not what we think it is. Those sensations are not dangerous. Because that's another layer to this, isn't it? Like, that they're dangerous, that some of these sensations are bad for us. They're causing us damage. For many people who struggle with anxiety, it's the idea that you're going to die, isn't it? Because your heart's pounding and everything feels like it's physiological. And I know, like, I know a few Three Principles teachers who have actually had panic attacks since they came across the Three Principles and found themselves being perfectly fine whilst having a panic attack. Like, being okay. Seeing that they are okay despite that. Now that's freedom, isn't it? Freedom isn't, I can control my feelings now. Freedom isn't, I've got all the tools and techniques in my tool and technique belt. That's not freedom. That's slavery to tools and techniques. It's not empowerment. It's you taking what somebody else has told you to do, and just keeping on doing it, keeping on doing it. We are all so much more than that. We are so much more than that. That's not freedom. And the other thing that, I want to talk about in terms of how we see emotions that I think has really become much more potent in the last few years is the labels that go with them. So, back in the day, and I know I'm speaking to quite a few people who are my age, but some who are younger, but probably maybe remember this, that I'm 52, and when I was a kid, and probably quite way into my adulthood, there was not much of a conversation about mental illness. There was no internet, which was quite helpful, really. There's nowhere to go look up. I feel like this, and what does it mean? Whereas now, if I put in, I've got butterflies in my stomach, what does that mean? I can guarantee I will find articles telling me I've got anxiety as a thing, not you've got some anxious thinking in the moment, and it will pass through, and you are fine underneath. I won't find much of that. I probably should do some more writing. But if I search for, something around, my palms are sweating, I've got butterflies in my stomach, and my heart is pounding, what does this mean? There will be stuff out there, possibly even from the NHS, our National Health Service, telling me that I'm ill. When I was a kid, we called it nerves, and we didn't like it, but we kind of knew. At that point, we would have said it was circumstantial. I've got a driving test, I've got an exam. Of course, I'm going to feel nervous. That's normal. You're supposed to feel nervous when you have an exam. It's just normal. We wouldn't have seen it as a problem, but now those feelings they've become more and more attached to particular labels. So if I have been today in an extremely low mood. I don't know why. I didn't sleep very well. That doesn't help. But I don't know. Just did a little bit of work this morning on my assignment. I managed to finish the next bit of my assignment and send that off. Yay. But then after that, it just felt blur. I still feel a bit blur now, but not quite so much. I've been for a walk and I've just let the day unfold, really. I've not felt the need to do anything about it. Everything I've done has just been what feels the next thing to do. That's been the level at which I've been at. So I actually lay on the bed for a bit and watched Indian matchmaking. Does anybody watch that show? It's flipping brilliant. Just finished it though. I'm a bit gutted actually because I want to hear more about these people and what happens to them. It's really, really, really interesting show. Whole different perspective on relationships, that's for sure. But really interesting. And I fell asleep watching that, and then I went for a walk, and that's about the sum total of what I've achieved today. So, and I'm here. Yay for me. But I don't think I've got depression. I don't have a label for that. I just know that today I've been in a low mood for a while. I don't need to analyse the thinking. I don't need to see. I mean, I sometimes look and see where the moon cycle is. I don't know. It's a waning moon, isn't it, now? Because we've just had a full moon. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But it's okay to be in a low mood. It doesn't mean anything. I had a client who came to me when I first started working with this understanding. Probably in the summer. Must have been in the summer when we were allowed to see people again because he came to the house. And he, or maybe just before the lockdown, probably just before the lockdown. And he said to me, I keep waking up in a bad mood. And I went, that's not really a problem, is it? He said, yeah, but I'm not supposed to wake up in a bad mood. And I said, well, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe sometimes people wake up in a bad mood. And he was just like, he was just blown away by it. Like he just couldn't believe that I was saying it was okay to be in a bad mood. just, He wrote me a lovely review on Google, actually. Carol, probably a little bit. Well, I don't know, because by yesterday, I thought she was rocking it, actually, Carol. She's come out the other side of this whole thing, like, in such an amazing place. Hello, Eleanor. Lovely to see you. Yeah, she's okay. However, what did perhaps happen is, here's a story. Quick story. On Saturday, we went looking for these hares around Aberdeen. So there's this hare trail where these artists have done these hares. Let me just show you a picture of one of the hares so you can see what I mean. So this is one of the hares. So there's these hares, they're beautiful, all around Aberdeen, and there's loads of them just in Aberdeen. I think we maybe saw about 15, and they're all spread out across Aberdeen. So looking at the map, it didn't look like they were that far away from each other. So we set off on Saturday on a quite hot day to go and look for the hares. So we did. We got lost a few times. We went to the wrong places a few times. We had a few arguments about where we're going. Anyway, many hares, and 24 miles later, we got back. Well, we got to Pizza Hut. We had some lunch while we were out and about. We managed to find a supermarket and we made some gluten-free sandwiches. And but by the time we'd finished, we were absolutely starving, hungry. We'd walked 24 miles. That's nearly a marathon during the day, and we were really hungry. And so we went to Pizza Hut and we bought pizza, and then we came back here and we watched a movie. We watched Mission Impossible 4. Didn't do it for me at all. Anyway, and then I was just still so hungry. I ate far too much. I then had a really sweaty, horrible night's sleep on Saturday, and on Sunday I was really dehydrated, and I drank far too much on Sunday evening. So that's why I just kept going up. You don't need to know all this, Steve. I kept getting us to go to the loo, Carol. I think that was most of the problem last night, and that's why the lack of sleep. But who knows about the mood? I try not these days to analyse it too much, because I find that just adds more noise to an already noisy system. Jeff, you like that I fall asleep with Indian dating shows and Rupert? Not at the same time, though. Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's distraction, isn't it? Like, sometimes my head is a busy place. I have no problem with that. But I just wanted to just do something that didn't involve me. I like the show, and I just wanted to chill out for a bit. And it's Monday, and I work in an integrated way, so I don't really care. I had time today to chill out, so I did. Might be a busy day tomorrow, I don't know. I feel like I've not looked at the chat properly for a while, so. Jeff, it's sort of like a different coloured pair of glasses. It colours to see the world, but sometimes you forget to take them off. Well, me too, Jeff. That's absolutely normal, because nobody and that's what a conversation like this is for. It's just to keep reminding us that we're wearing the glasses all the time, that we're seeing life is through our own perspective, all the time. Yeah, Kate Rupert is amazing, if somewhat sleep inducing. Anybody else know how to stay awake while you listen to Rupert Spiro? Or anybody else has got a lovely relaxing voice? Does anybody fall asleep listening to me? Oh, the seagulls, yeah. Oh, you've just picked mangoes. Oh, you're somewhere where you can pick mangoes. Oh, I'm not at all jealous, Carol. I am. I don't think they grow mangoes in Aberdeen, because we may be having some very, very, very lovely weather here in Aberdeen now, but I don't think it's hot enough, regular enough to grow mangoes. The stories you tell ourselves, yes, all of us. Hello, yeah, hello everybody. everyone. Hello, everyone. Hi, Kathy. The stories we tell ourselves. Yeah, we tell ourselves stories, and I think I think that's where we're pointing to in this session. Really, is the stories we tell ourselves about feelings. Like, what do we tell ourselves? I think we say they come from the outside world. We say there's something wrong with us. We say we need to do something about us. We say we shouldn't be having that feeling by now because we've been on a spiritual journey for a really long time. So goodness gracious, what's wrong with us if we're still experiencing these feelings? Anybody got that one? Yay, me. Come on, put your hands up or click the heart if that's one that you relate to, because we're on an app that's all about spiritual growth and spiritual enlightenment, aren't we? So how many other people here are saying, I've been on this journey for X number of years, why the heck am I still feeling things? I mean, do you really want to not? Do you really want to stop feeling? I don't want to stop crying. I think my life would be utterly boring if I didn't experience feelings. I like the fact that they don't last as long now, and they don't seem to take hold in the same way, and I don't have as much work to do about them. I don't have any work to do about them because I don't think they're a problem. Like, I like that, but I don't want to stop feeling. I think that's called death, folks. Or maybe it's some kind of enlightenment you can achieve by sitting in a cave and not experiencing anything, keeping out of life. But that's not my idea of fun at all. That's not the life I want. Feelings are, well, first of all, feelings are important because they are information. Like, I'm noticing myself more and more navigating life from my feelings. So, like, the question today is, what is a feeling? We've talked a lot about what a feeling isn't. It isn't a sign about the outside world. It isn't a sign there's something wrong with you. It isn't a sign you need to do anything. It isn't any of those things. It's a piece of information. I'm going to carry on with feelings being a piece of information. I've just had a little look at the chat. Yeah, I think sleep happens when your mind calms, your body gives you what you need, absolutely. Oh, Carol, you've got one mango tree and it's got mango. Oh, that's so lovely. Oh, I love mango. I can't imagine what mango's like when you just pick it straight off the tree, though. That must be lovely, because, of course, by the time a mango gets to the UK, it's been right round the houses. What a feeling. The Flashdance song. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, we've all got that as an earworm now, Wendy, haven't we? Thanks. It's going round and round, Jeff. That'll be in my head for the rest of the evening now. Kathy, you're in Portugal on holiday. Lovely. I love Portugal. I've only been once, but I'd love to go back. And I know loads of people who live there now. I like that you've got an icky feeling, but you're not reading into it. Yeah, me too today. Maybe it's a moon thing, Kathy. Generally, if in doubt, with a feeling, just blame the moon. I generally do. I say to Bruce, when tell me, say probably a moon thing, and he's like, oh right, okay. He's just like stays clear of Claire in a loony mood, literally. So what was I going to talk about next? Feelings as information and navigating life. Like, I really like that there's a piece of children's training that I've looked at around the three principles, and I think, to be honest, that's what I love about the three principles is if you can teach it to kids, it must be simple, because kids understand it. Although I also think that children understand it because they're still like deeply connected to it. They're not they haven't travelled quite so far on their story journey as we have, so they connect back to it more easily. So navigating life with feelings as information is literally like driving your car and taking note of traffic lights. So, when you're driving, when you have one of those days, anybody been on a journey? Let me know. Give me a heart or let me know in the comments if you've been on a journey and you're just like, all the lights are green. And you're just like, oh, look, that one's just turned green and that one's just turned green. I see the hearts. Me too. Me too. I've definitely experienced that. And you just like, it's like, Bruce and I go, oh, check us out. It's all green lights all the way. And you're like, straight through the city centre. It's really busy. And you're just straight on the green lights. And that feels like flow, doesn't it? Like, have you had a day? So, like, not in your car, but just in your life where you feel like you're just in this beautiful space. Or maybe an hour, maybe a few minutes you've had that where you just feel like you're in flow. And it's all just unfolding beautifully. And I would call that you're on a green light, you're connected to who you really are, you're connected to that essence of life, really. So you're being carried in life, flowing. And it comes with a beautiful feeling, does it not? It is like being a child without that emotional baggage, isn't it? You're just flowing through life. And on one of those days, like, yeah, you can have a bit of an emotional up and down, Kathy, but without the story of it, you just carry on flowing. And what a lovely place to live life from, that is. However, most of us are not living life like that all the time, If we're driving, yeah, we're going to hit some amber lights, we're going to hit some red lights. It's part of life. And I think the amber lights are the most powerful, really, in terms of our emotional state. Because the amber light is that start of the emotion, that initial feeling, the initial, like for me, it's that initial jerk, almost like it's an initial feeling. Often actually it's that punch in the gut. It feels like that, doesn't it? The start of an emotional reaction to, or that initial emotional reaction to something. It feels like you've been sucker punched. And then it's that moment really where there's an opening or a closing, I think. And it's to do with how we see that initial reaction. So we might see that initial reaction as, there's a world out there making me feel bad. So like if that's another person, that initial reaction might have us say something rude to that person, or tell them to stop it, or be quite abrupt with them, or whatever, or avoid them, get away from them, whatever. That initial feeling. If that initial feeling is a circumstance that we can change, we might immediately try to change it. If we think that initial emotion is that initial blast of emotional energy, if we think it's about us, we'll go into the story, because the first thing that's going to happen is that the emotion is nothing without the story. It's nothing. It's just energy. But the story, it's outside. The story, it's inside. It's me. There's something wrong with me. I've got to do something about it. Why am I still feeling like this? The story of me, oh, this is my trauma. It's rearing its ugly head again, And that is not discounting how horrible things can happen to people. But we immediately experience that sensation. We start telling a story. But without the story, and the interesting thing is the story is thought, but it's the thought that's created the emotion in the first place. So the story fits. The story goes, aha, there's that emotion, that's what's wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. This is what you need to do to fix it. Because the whole cycle is built like the thought, the sensation, then the story about the sensation, and then the doing to try and relieve the sensation, when the sensation was only ever information. What is a feeling? A feeling is information to let us know about our state of mind. And so here's like two paths we can go on. Is, there's the sensation is here. And the one path is outside. It's outside. What do I need to do, form, create, spit out of my mouth, behavior, whatever it is? How do I get, to get rid of the sensation? The alternative route is that sensation is my warning. It's my amber light. I'm moving away from peace of mind. I'm not a green anymore. I'm getting stirred up about something. My thinking is off. My thinking is untrustworthy, so therefore the thing I'm thinking to do to solve the feeling is got to be rubbish. It's got to be. If it's putting something out into the world of form, it's not going to be good for anybody concerned. But to me now, that when you're driving and when there's an amber light, you really want to be stopping and slowing down, don't you? That's the thing to do to avoid an accident, to avoid creating some havoc in the world of form, to allow that person who's turning right in front of you to turn right. That's what the amber light is saying. It's saying stop, slow down, pause. Human beings are the only animals that speed up when they're lost, and we are lost when we are experiencing the energy of thought in our bodies in that unpleasant, uncomfortable way. We are lost. We're lost in a story. We're lost in thought. But when we see that, very little, like if it feels like there's a lot to do to get rid of an emotion, we're on the wrong path. It feels like we've got to spend 5 minutes tapping or 10 minutes tapping to get rid of a feeling. If it feels like we've got to have a long conversation with somebody in an angry way to get rid of a feeling, or write a long message to somebody, or we've all seen this with an email, haven't we? We've all received an email we don't like, and then we've seen that it's an email we don't like. And we've realised that the reply we've just hammered out on the keyboard is not helpful. And we leave that, don't we, in our inbox or in our drafts, and then the next day we read it again and go, ooh, actually, I won't send that. I won't send that. So all day, every day, we talk about wisdom a lot on these calls. People talk about wisdom all the time. I'm sure on Insight Time they talk about wisdom a lot. But a lot of people talk about that wisdom or that intuition being something about quiet and peace and all day, every day. You are being guided. Your uncomfortablest feelings are your guidance. They are powerful, helpful things to see. Yeah, and I love that, Jeff. You didn't cause the green lights any more that you cause than you cause the red lights. No, you are the green and the red lights. It's all part of this human experience. And maybe you don't need to keep telling yourself that, Jeff. if it seems like it's in the words, and of course I am using words because I'm pointing to something that is quite difficult to point to without words. Although I suspect if we just all sat in silence in a room together, we would probably see it. Who knows? But, watch out for words seeming like they're the answer too. Because they're not. Mm. So, what else? What else has anybody else got on feelings? What else do you want to ask? What feelings for you seem like the ones that are hardest to accept? Like when I was with my daughter, well, I wasn't with her, but when I was on the phone with my daughter on Thursday, it was, the suffering of heartbreak. I could, and this is where we can really see how it's inside out, because there was like two things going on. There was, disappointment definitely, because there'd been a lot of assumption on, disappointment. The feelings we can't handle. Thank you for those. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more. I'd love to talk a little bit more about that with you, Carol. The health of your husband. Bless you. Yeah, disappointment is really interesting, isn't it? I don't know if I've ever done a session on disappointment. I mean, what is disappointment as a feeling? So, is it something we thought was going to happen and then didn't? Just go with me, right? I'll reset up again. Computer's having a little power-related mo. This is a really hard one, Linda. Like the betrayal and disappointment that are, these feelings are human. That's the first thing to know about them, and they are things that we are going to experience. And I think the first thing to say about them is it is okay to feel them. It's not a sign that you're not spiritually enlightened enough or that you're not far enough on this. It's none of that. But there's also something to see about how much of disappointment is created out of an idea of how we think something's supposed to be. Perhaps. And without, Linda, without your full story, it's really difficult to speak to that. But of course, if you want to hop on a call with me, that's just the sort of thing that I would love to talk to you about. There's a link in my bio where you can book that call. And of course, that's for anybody else here who's who would like to explore this further and find out more about how to explore this further, then there is a link in my bio where you can find out more about me and book calls and things like that. And I'm not a celebrity. I had a lovely conversation. Was it last week? I think it was last week, with a lady who said she was very excited to be on the call because she saw me as a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. I'm just a person who shows up here. who lives some of the time in a camper van and some of the time in a house in Leeds. I'm just a normal gal. So Judy, feelings around aging and not being able to gander ordinary things. Bless you. Overwhelm, confusion. I mean, I don't know how old you are, Judy. But I can relate to the starting of that, the noticing of that. But I guess what I'm thinking there is that maybe we can be okay with those things going on. Not that I'm saying they're not difficult, but whatever they are, us thinking they should be different, us trying to make them be different, us trying to make ourselves be different, is just adding more fuel into an already, what you're saying there, Judy, into an already busy, overwhelmed, confused system. Like, this is coming. I hope you can hear this coming from a place of compassion, Judy, but what is what is. But that's the first thing. The second thing is that how we see ourselves is created by us. So if we see ourselves becoming more overwhelmed, more confused, not being able to gander ordinary things, then every time that happens, we'll see that is us as separate and different, and there's something wrong with us. When in actual fact, maybe you're not any more or less that way than anybody else. It just does seem that way. But yeah, because I notice my own thoughts. I mean, I'm 52, but I do notice my own thoughts about aging, about for me, it's the physical body, noticing that, perhaps getting sorer a little quicker. Although, I did walk 24 miles on Saturday, and that's not bad for it's not bad for a 52-year-old, is it? So yeah, and lots of love, Judy, and definitely, yeah, bless you. Yeah, you're similar age to my mum. She's 79. I'm causing quite a stir here, by the way, because I had to have the window open because I was actually passing out. It's so hot in here, and people keep you can see they're kind of slightly trying to earwig as they go past. It's just, what's she's talking about? That? Why is she talking to the screen? I'm always just like a crazy person, just talking to a screen. Although I'm sure people are mostly used to people talking to screens now, aren't they? So. And maybe, Judy, what's coming to mind as well is that you're here, and I think that's super cool. My mum's just a bit older than you. She'll be 80 in April. And I wish she was here. You're here. Like you, that can only help. Excuse me. For you to see this and to see that there's still this infinite being that you are, and that your aging mind and body can't take that away, and that your innate well-being, your innate essence of life is not something that anything can take away, even aging and death and everything else, that it can't be taken away. How beautiful is that to see? Also saying here, I get little listens of the Aberdeen, the Scottish accent, and sometimes I'm like, is this person speaking English? We've got some super strong accents up here, and it's quite cool to listen to. So I'm just going to pause and take a breath for a moment, and we're exploring what is a feeling today. And I can see lots of lovely faces. I can see lots of lovely new faces bobbing along at the bottom. I can see some familiar faces. Say hi in the comments. Let me know where you are. I want you to know that you're in a lovely, safe space here where there's a lot of love, not just from me, in fact, mostly from everybody else. So it'd be good to you to say hello and let us know a little bit about you, maybe where you are in the world and what brought you here today. My name's Claire Downham. I'm known as the Queen of Calm. I'm a business and life mentor, or a life and business mentor. Integrate, I don't know. I help people feel better by teaching them the truth about their human experience and helping them to relate differently to their thoughts and feelings and behaviours so they can have nicer ones. But most of all, I spend a lot of my time pointing people to see that everything they need, everything they want, every feeling that any human ever wants to experience is already inside you. And that there is nothing that needs to change in you, in the outside world, or anything in order for you to be whole and well. That you have this powerful innate well-being that is always there, never changing, never moving. And I think as you come at life more and more from that perspective, it changes everything. So, and today we're exploring what is a feeling. And we've explored in the last session we really spoke about the inside out nature of life. And today we've really brought a light to that sense of what a feeling is, because I do think that immense amounts of suffering are created by a misunderstanding of what an emotional sensation is. That misunderstanding is huge, and it's hurting. People are hurt, are suffering because of that misunderstanding. And I would love to, that's why I'm here, really. So, I haven't mentioned it yet, but these sessions are, by donation. I'm utterly grateful for any donations you're able to make today. They support me in this work, and they support Insight Timer in providing this level of this kind of content that is absolutely free. And there's a lot of coaches out there that have Facebook groups and things like that, but I see this as my space to hang out and share. So you'll find that if you hop along, I don't know why I said that. If you follow me, you'll get updated as to when I share new content, when I share lives, etc. And I do know I don't know, a lot of teachers don't do lives on here, do they? But I absolutely love them. They're one of my favourite things. But as well as my lives, I also have, do I have 5 courses now? I feel like I've got 5. I think I've got 5. Yeah. I have 5 courses on here. Oh, thank you so much, Jeff. That's really, really generous. Thank you for that donation. Thank you for supporting me and supporting Insight Timer. What was I talking about? Yeah, so I've got 5 courses on here, and I know quite a few people are going through them one by one. The latest course, which is called Sustainable Calm with the Three Principles, is the one that I didn't make that one first, but it's probably the one I would check out first, because I think it really does give you the foundations of this understanding, this three principles understanding that I'm talking about. Yes, Jen, we hurt because of the story we tell ourselves. Yeah, it's all the stories. Because that's what minds do, don't they? Minds, like human minds, take a bit of something that's this big, or perhaps even smaller. It's tiny, tiny, tiny thing. You take something tiny, like a sensation in the body, and write a story, like literally, like our minds are just trying to explain everything all the time. And that's, it's understandable. It's probably been a safety mechanism for years. When I say years, I don't just mean years in our life. I mean for generations of human beings. Try to explain everything. Try to make life intellectual. Try to wrap a meaning around it. That's just what the human mind does. But it doesn't mean it's right just because that's what happens. Doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean any of that. It's just what our mind does. That's Amy Johnson. It is one of the teachers that I follow quite closely, and she just says that a lot. She says what our mind does. That's just what our mind does. Yes, Jen, that's a brilliant one. I think I know what you think, and I don't ask, but therefore, yeah. And of course, whenever we think we know what somebody else is thinking, that's not their thinking, it's ours. Always. 100%. Only 100% of the time. And we're still going to do it. Like, we're still going to have the stories. This is not about eliminating them. They will, because there's nothing to do. I don't want to have you try to eliminate the stories. But the more you see that there are stories, the less potent and the less grasping and the less real those stories seem. And you can get to the stage where you're at the, haha, that's my story of this thing. And it doesn't really mean anything. It's still, the story's still there, but it's just not got the same stickiness to it. Because it's human to sometimes have the stories. Jen, that made me laugh. Difficult because I like my story many times. Yeah, me too, Jen. Oh, if you'd have heard me at the weekend, I've got a story at the moment about Bruce not listening because he interrupts quite a lot. And I get myself, because I'm doing this coaching training thing, and I am, I know when you've seen it, although if you do, I know there are people on here who've had a conversation with me. If you do have a conversation with me, I do listen. I'm really good at listening, and Bruce isn't, or in my story he isn't. So I had a lot of talk with Bruce this weekend about him not listening because he interrupts a lot. Yeah, and I've got more to say about that, that's for sure. And thank you, Cassie. Thank you so much for that donation. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Cassie. That means a lot. Yeah, these sessions, in these sessions, I really do appreciate your donations. They support me and Insight Timer. So really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Cassie. So, any more about feelings that we want to see or talk about? Because if not, I can't feel anything else emerging. Just to say that I know that if you're here, if you're on this app, if you're looking for a solution, well, that can feel like a never-ending journey, can't it? Does anybody else feel like it's been a never-ending journey? Please, do stay in this conversation, because this is a bit different. You will have noticed during this conversation I have not given you a single thing to do. I'm encouraging you to look. Come over here and look. Come on over here and look at your feelings and thoughts differently. Come over here and look towards your innate well-being. Come over here and see how amazing you truly are, and that you have everything that you need already inside you. I just want you to look with curiosity. And I guess, if there's anything to do, it's just to notice. I'd love, it's just to see what you can notice. So, Mike, you would love to understand what calm means, divorced man with 2 children. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I suspect if you've got 2 children and you're busy, then of course that is going to be busy. And, again, that this is a complicated personal issue that you're sharing, and that's very vulnerable of you. Thank you for sharing. I can't, it's tricky to tackle such big issues on here, but just to say that if you're new to this, Mike, or you're interested and you're thinking, hang on a minute, this is something a bit different, stay in this conversation, and I trust that your experience of your life will change, because I have changed everything. I haven't changed anything, but my relationship with everything in my life has changed. The people in it, the circumstances in it. And Mike, here's a little bit of my story. I'm a divorcee as well. Nearly 10 years now, actually. But my children were, I've got 2 kids as well, in their 20s now. And my ex-husband lives next door, Mike. So, well, I'm not sorry, actually. Everybody's much happier since we divorced by a long chalk. But yeah, my ex-husband lives next door. He's about to marry, this month, he's going to marry the woman who was quite fundamental in my marriage breakup. So, is she going to be the second Mrs. Downham? I feel like I need to change my name. I just don't know if I want to be the first Mrs. Downham and to be living next door to each other. So I'm going to be Mr. and Mrs. Downham, and then Mrs. Downham next door just looks really dodgy. Oh, so funny, so funny. Yeah. So Mike, I would love to hop on a call with you to talk about that. I do work with men and women, especially in those, I know in those early days of divorce, or a big change in our life is it can just feel a bit crazy, and it is going to feel a bit like that for a while, and that's it. It's being like, it's okay for you to go up and down in no time for yourself and difficulty. Jen, that's lovely. Can you take one breath today when your kids or whatever is happening calm is not external? Yeah, I mean, that's where we're pointing to here. And so what I'm really saying is that there's no need even to take a breath, that calm is available to you. You don't need to take a shower. You don't need to do anything at all. It's inside you already. And sometimes for me, I do take a breath and, put my feet on the floor for a moment. That's good, Mike. Well, that's good that they're not coming to the bathroom with you. Because I don't know how old your children are, Mike. But when mine were little, I couldn't even go for a wee on my own. Just like public toilets, they'd be there in the cubicle with you, both of them. Oh, well, yeah, they don't come to the toilet with you in teenagers. But when mine were teenagers when we split up, they were 12 and 14. And I had a full-time job as a head teacher. And life was a bit bonkers, to say the least. And both my children were working at the time as well. They're both actors. They both were actors. One of them still is, the other one isn't now. She's going to be a zookeeper. But when you're a woman and you've got little children, they go to the toilet with you. Mummy, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And they shout really loud. And, oh, Mummy, that smells. Like you're in a public toilet. Oh God, yeah. I remember when they were little. I literally didn't. Oh God, yeah. You couldn't even go to the toilet to hide. And that thing when they're little and you're like on the phone. You're on the phone and you just think, right, everybody's quiet, everybody's playing, we're all busy. I'm only going to make this call I really need to make. Literally, the minute you pick up the phone, Mummy, right, she really just picked up the phone. It's like they know. It's like they cycle. They like see. This. It's like this. What's the word I'm looking for? Psychic. That they know you just need a minute to just make a phone call, and there they are. Hello, mummy. Yeah, Melissa, it is a roller coaster. Yeah, one day at a time is beautiful. That yours were little then, bless you. 4 and 8, full-time job, crazy days. Yeah, I remember it well. Mine were 12 and 14, but still full-time job and crazy days. But Mike, don't it is going to get easier in a when you get into a bit more of a groove with it. But also, don't wish your life away. Like, what about if you could just enjoy the craziness now? It was really funny actually because when I split up from my husband and he moved next door, I just used to rant about it in my head all the time. And rant about it to everybody. I'd moan about it. I'd be like, oh my God. And I was on online dating, Mike, and I do have a lovely fiance now. But I got chatting to this man, and on online dating, he called himself Namaste, and that's why he appealed to me, because of course his little profile name was Namaste, and I'm like, oh, he sounds interesting, a bit spiritual, etc. And I got chatting to him, and I was moaning. One Sunday night we were online chatting, and I don't know what that is. That must be online chatting. And I said to him, I was moaning about, oh my God, my ex-husband lives next door, and then we've just moved her in, and then he just went, oh, he said, you don't have to think about it like that. Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? My ex-husband lives next door. It's a nightmare, blah, blah, blah. And he just went, yeah, but you don't have to think about it like that. You don't have to think about it at all. And I just went, what do you mean? And this was before I came across this understanding. So I was a bit flummoxed by this. What do you mean I don't have to talk about it? And he said you just don't have to think about it. And it was like that moment when I just went, oh, okay, I don't have to think about it. It's back to my, I haven't got my ruler with me. Let's use a box of tissues. Who's not seen me hitting on myself on the head with things yet? Who's seen it before? Let me know. It's like I'm hitting myself on the head and I'm saying, do you know, there's a terrible headache over here. It's just on one side of my head. I can't get rid of it, and I've tried everything. I'm drinking loads of water and I'm not having caffeine, and I'm sniffing lavender oil, and going for walks on the beach every day, and I've still got this awful headache and it won't go away. But it's just here, it's just right here, the headache. It's just right there. And I've tried all the tools and techniques, can't get rid of the headache. I might even have to take a painkiller, don't know what to do about it. And then you lot say to me, stop hitting yourself on the head with a box of tissues. So I stop. Now, sometimes I'm going to forget and I'm going to hit myself on the head with a box of tissues again. Because we do forget sometimes. And then I'm going to remember and I go, oh yeah. Because when we realise that our suffering is being created by our thinking and not the outside world, some trains of thought just start to make sense to get off. Like me thinking and ranting in my head and out loud probably to myself like a crazy person, ranting about my ex-husband living next door. Just ranting. And then feeling terrible and then going, oh, it's because my ex-husband lives next door. And then this man saying, you don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about it. Guess what? He can live next door and I don't think about it and I don't feel bad, even though he's still living next door. Boom. That's just so life-changing. It's life-changing to see that you don't have to keep doing this to yourself. But it's not. This is not change your thinking. This is your thinking will change all on its own once you see it's not what we think, it's that we think. Forget about what we're thinking. It's that we think, and that is what's creating our experience. Nothing else. Not how you see the world, not how you feel, not how you behave, not any of it. It's all created inside out. Yeah, I do, Jen, actually. I used to say that a lot, and I used to hear it a lot, and then I didn't for a while, and then somebody said it the other day, and I thought, oh God, I remember that. It's not what we think, it's that we think that matters. And that's what's creating our experience. And with that on board, we can navigate even the most tricky of situations much, much better, with much more clarity. So I'm going to go make some tea now, and that is not in a cup, that's going to be pasta, because of course in the UK we call our evening meal tea sometimes, for those of you not in the UK, and sometimes we call it dinner, sometimes we call lunch dinner, and sometimes we call lunch. That's the meal in the middle of the day. We only ever call breakfast, although of course you can have brunch, which is between breakfast and lunch. Oh, what do we do with the brains you've been given? What do you mean, Jen? You haven't been given a brain. You've learnt to think a particular way, but you can unlearn it. All of it. It's not who you really are, Jen. It's not who you really are. You're not a brain. I mean, a brain's just a mass of jelly and shenanigans, isn't it? There's nothing in there. There's no essence of you in there. There's thought in the moment creating your experience. That's it. So, my beautiful people, I am going to go make some food because I'm hungry. And hopefully my other half's going to come home sometime today, although he should be home by now and he's not here. We should look at WhatsApp and see where he is. We'll do that. I'll do that after you've gone. So let me just tell you what's coming up this week when I just look at my profile. So usual times, usual place. So tomorrow, same time tomorrow. And what I'm trying to do with these events is, they're all just called episode 3 Sustainable Calm. And then I'm trying to just trust my intuition on what is the next thing to talk about. So today was what is a feeling. So what will tomorrow be? I don't know yet, and I think that's cool. I think it's quite nice to come at it with this, what comes up in the moment, trusting my intuition. So I'll be here tomorrow at 3:50, Wednesday at 12:05. These are all BST because I am in. What is a thought? Ooh, Jen, that's a good one. Well, I'm going to write that down. What is a thought? Yeah, I quite like what is a thought. Definitely ramble on about that for a little while, that's for sure. And then, so 12:05 on Wednesday, sorry. 3:50 tomorrow, 12:05 on Wednesday, and Friday at 1:11. Cool. Bless you, Jen. On Saturday, I will be back at home and I'll be spending the day finishing off watching Glee with my daughter Sophie. Completely, I sometimes see clients on a Saturday. Not even doing that this Saturday. I'm going to have a lovely chill out with my baby. My 23-year-old, nearly 24-year-old baby. But they're never not your baby, are they? Anybody else here with children knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm still my mum's baby, and she's 79 and I'm 52, so there you go. So thank you so much, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Remember, if you found this at all helpful, stay in this conversation, drop onto my profile and follow me. And I've invited a couple of people today to have a conversation. Mike, I feel like a conversation with you would be helpful right now. We would probably have quite a good laugh as well, I think, Mike. So please do reach out. And lots of love to anybody who is struggling at the moment, of course. And that call might be helpful to you too. So take care, lots and lots of love, and I will hopefully see many of you tomorrow. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the donations today. They are wonderful, and thank you for the new people and the repeat offenders for being here. Take care, lots of love.